Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Zen here, and today we got a interesting video for you. We're actually looking at the top 5 decks right now in the Japan meta. Now I'm using Top Decks TCG to pull this information from, but essentially the last 15 events based in Japan had 1 Beerus winner, 1 Goku Black winner, 3 Jirens, 4 androids, and 7 Vegeta. And today I'm going to be sharing and breaking down these deck lists with you of the best winning leaders. And then for Vegeta, since all of them are pretty similar, I'll be sharing with you one of the most interesting deck lists in today's video, but that's going to be a little bit later. For now, let's start with Beerus with this winning deck list here. Now, right off the bat, this just looks like a very high value, consistent damage reducing deck list. You have your Gohan here, your Catopesla, your Caulifla, which is so good with your leader being able to apply critical pressure just by turn 2, 3, even 4 if you want, just have 3 of them on the board. But not only that, this deck also has Tournament of Power, so that way you can buff up your characters. Other cards that are pretty interesting in here have got to be the 3-cost Beerus, where if you play when you have 4 energy, you can swing with this Beerus, activate the main ability to use 1 energy, send it to the drop, and then play this from your hand for free, where then you can discard another card and just wipe the entire opponent's side of the board with 25k powers or less. And did I mention it's a critical battle card? Like, there's so much value in this deck. We have 4 copies of the 1-cost Margaritas that synergize really well when you're trying to close out with something like your double striker. We have 1 Kefla, which brings out any of our Tournament of Power cards here, including the Tournament of Power Vegeta, which is very strong. We have 2 copies of the Ultra Instinct Son Goku, as well as 4 Krillins here that help us self-awaken and provide us a nice 10k combo. All in all, this deck does not surprise me the least, right? Like, it's a pretty standard deck. We got the 2 copies of Helis here to help us go into the Jiren matches, and honestly, I approve. Like, this is a very solid deck list. This is something you'd see anywhere winning. However, the next deck list is kind of interesting, and it's the Goku Black deck list. I've never seen anything like this, and yeah, let's get ready to break this down. So we have our leader, we have a bunch of Zamasus here, we have the 1-drop that gets rid of opposing 1-drops, we have 2 copies of just the 15k vanilla, makes sense, 4 copies of Mai to help us self-awaken, because the sooner we can awaken, the sooner we can use our boy's ability to bring out these big boys, right? And then we have some of these Zamasus to help us search our deck for the top 5 cards, so that way we can just pull this guy. I'm pretty sure you can. Yeah, there's no limit to the cost here. Yeah, so that's what you use that for. We have 4 copies of the Zamasu, the can't touch this Zamasu. You can't interact with them unless they're rested. So yeah, we have 4 copies of that. We have 4 copies of the Critical Vegeta, a very strong blue card. Still nothing crazy here, like nothing is really interesting. And then we have the Trunks Future here, which again is a solid card. You bounce a 5-cost, you could bounce their double strikers, pretty much bounce anything back to their hand. And I think that's where this strategy of this deck is coming from. Like, early on, you get your boy, you start filling up your side of the board, and then when your opponent tries to respond, you hit him with the no sorry, go back to your hand. And if you do this while Mai's on the field, then guess what? You get to draw a card, as long as you have 7 or fewer in your hand. But then the card that really is interesting here is the Beerus, the 3-cost Beerus. And apparently it works. Like, again, this is a winning Goku Black deck list. When attacking, KO one of your other battle cards, and then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and then just bounce it back to their hand. So again, this could be another variation of Trunks here, where you just keep bouncing them back. They can't play their cards. They can't get any value out of their cards, and you keep swinging with your big buddies here. We have a 4-cost vanilla Goku Black. We have our 2 copies of this 4-cost 30k Goku Black that when attacking and you have 7 or fewer, you can just bottom deck a cost 2 or less from your opponent's side of the field. We have 3 copies of the Zamasu Fuse, which you're probably going to want to use with this Goku Black, so that way you get a free draw engine, or you can use it with this Son Gohan Adolescence. That way you can bottom deck their 3 costs or less. And then another card that it's here, maybe for the 10k, but like, check it out. On play, if you have 7 or fewer cards, choose up to 1 card with Earthling and its special traits on the battle area, and then return it to the owner's hand. So I guess you could bounce your opponent's cards, or you can bounce your own. You can bounce your Trunks Future Mai, and that's pretty much. Oh, and Gohan. I guess yeah, you can bounce your Gohan, I guess. But yeah, and then you have the 4 copies of the Goku Black here, 6 costs, and our super combos. This one's really interesting. It's doing well. I'm probably gonna test it out. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna test it out. Maybe make some videos on it. Let me know what you guys think of this Goku Black deck list. And yeah, let's move on to number 3 right now, and that is Jiren. Looking at this deck list, it's pretty standard. There's nothing crazy here except for the fact that there's no Cauliflas at all. And instead of Cauliflas, we have 4 copies of the Tournament of Power Vegeta. I guess Tournament of Power Vegeta really works well with Jiren. We have 4 copies of our SR Jiren, 3 copies of Roomshi, only 2 copies of a Double Striker, and then we have 3 copies of Glimpse of Hidden Arrogance. Very interesting deck list here, to be honest. We don't have too much draw potential. We have a lot of dead cards. If you're counting these are 3. You got 5. And then throw in another 4 here, that's 9. Throw in another 4, that's 13 dead cards. But I guess with the ability to cycle with your leader, that doesn't really matter. You have Fuwas here, you have 2 copies of the 1-drop Whis, 4 of our draws are Basil that searches for Kefla, Tournament of Power Vegeta, which that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Tournament of Power Vegeta is kind of like your go-to, what you want to use to close out games. Or you can use it on your Gohan here, your Catapesla, or maybe even using the Vegeta and then getting rid of your 0 combos. That would make sense to discard those cards. So I guess there might be a little bit of synergy to this deck, but definitely not a deck list that I would just look at straight up and be like, oh yeah, this is a winning Jiren deck list. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this Jiren deck list. I'll test this one out too. I'm really interested to see how it does on ladder. And now looking at the number 2 deck list, guess what? It's androids and there's nothing new here. I mean, just look at it. I guess you could say the Trunks Future here is kind of like new, right? But not really. But it's just such a good, strong, consistent. That's the key word here. Such a consistent deck list. You don't need too much variation. You have your leaders, you have your android cards, they do what they do best, they swarm the board, they ramp for you, you play your big bosses like your double androids or your Broly, and you just close out games. The issue is not being able to ramp as effectively or as quickly as you'd like to before, getting put into a serious situation. Like by turn 3, turn 4, you want to be at 6, 7 energy. So as long as everything else is going correct, it's going to be very hard for you to like just be in a non-advantageous like situation. As long as you're ramping, you're in a good position here. But yeah, it's a standard android deck list. We're never gonna see anything new with androids, at least in this set. But now let me show you guys the Vegeta deck list. Now there was only one deck list like this. The rest are the standard Vegeta deck lists. They're Sinister Sickle Gohans, all of that good jazz. But this one actually won for one of their events, and I just had to cover it. They're bringing back the vanilla set, and it works. What can I say? I'm gonna definitely test this out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it all revolves around this 1-cost Videl, where you play it, and then for 1 energy, if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, you can play up to 1 vanilla, aka skillless, a battle card with the cost of 3 or less from your hand. Now, what does that mean? You have this Son Gohan, 25k body, 25k body, 25k body, and they all provide 10k combo, and that's why this is doing really well. But check this out, that's not it. So like you use this for combo, you lose it in battle or whatever, you have 2 copies of Videl here that bring them back for you, right? Because these are all Earthlings, and it's so good. It's so good. We have 2 copies of our Bouncing Trunks here. We have our Peel-Off Engine. I really hope they don't ban this card because it's literally keeping Blue on top. I think if Blue didn't have this, it'd be a little bit more balanced, but just the Peel-Off Engine is so nuts. And then we have 4 copies of the Vegito here, 4 copies of the Secret Rare Vegito. What else we got? 2 Double Strikers, 2 Zenos for board wipes, and then 4 Sinister Sickles, as well as 4 Gallic Guns. And yeah, this is a winning deck list. It wins events. It's something. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Japanese meta down below in the comments. Are you surprised by any of these deck lists? And do you like these types of videos? Because if you do, I can collab and work with that TCG Top Decks website and kind of categorize the meta depending on different regions. We can look at Europe, we can look at, South America. We can just base it off of that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.